Ciao, everybody. I'm JulieAnn. This is Baking with Friends. It is Saturday, it's sabato, as the Italians would say, and we are making tiramisu. Noi stiamo preparando tiramisu. That's my really bad Italian, non parlo italiano. So I'm going to have Alicia with me today, who I'm going to add in right now. I hope this works. Maybe not. It will maybe. Yay! Ciao, Alicia! I don't know. There, perfect. I think I can hear you. I think the audio is good. I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees. Alicia, is your oven preheated?
It is preheating. Okay.
Perfect. We are going to take the task on today of attempting to make our own homemade ladyfingers for this tiramisu. Now, you could have taken the easy way out and just bought your ladyfingers like a rational person in the store. And if you don't have ladyfingers, if you have a dry biscuit, that's fine. Whatever's in your pantry right now, you don't have to like rush out to the store to buy anything. But we are going to attempt to make ladyfingers today, which should hopefully not take us too long if our piping bags or Ziploc bags are worthy today. But if you have, right now, you should have separated eggs. There's two of them. There's whites and there's yolks. You should have some flour on you, a little bit of granulated sugar. We're going to sprinkle some powdered sugar on top, some cream of tartar because we're going to cheat and we're going to stabilize our meringue instead of being very European about it and trying to do it without stabilizing meringue because I need a crutch. I don't know about you, Alicia. If you don't need the cream of tartar, more power to you. But I'm using cream of tartar today because my meringues always collapse on me if I don't. So they get to be like watery and stuff. And a little bit of vanilla or almond extract if you want to be fancy and give it a little bit of flavor. So let us start with that before we go off about the tiramisu. But I've got Sherry on today manning the comment section because Mary is being adventurous and taking a motorcycle ride around California and so is not with us. So our resident commenter will be Sherry, who I'm sure will have a lot of stuff to talk about as far as the origins of tiramisu, which I did not know this, Alicia, only became popular in the 1980s and is not like a really super, super traditional Italian dessert. Who knew? Who knew? All right, so let's go ahead and get this party started. We're going to go ahead and start with the ladyfingers. And like I said, you have separated your eggs. And we're going to make what the French call a sabayon or the Italians call a zabalion, which sounds kind of similar because of the romantic languages and the way that it sounds. But it's basically making like a custard, a cooked custard with your yolks and with your sugar. So we're going to go ahead and if you don't have a double boiler, that's okay. You can just go ahead and on my stovetop right now, I've just got, make sure it's heat proof or like at least heat resistant as it were. I've got just a pan and I've just got a mixing bowl that I'm going to go ahead and put on top of my stove. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to put our yolks in there and we're also going to go ahead and put in the sugar. So I'm like contemplating whether or not we should do the egg whites first, Alicia. What do you think?
We might, yeah.
Yeah, maybe let's do the egg whites first because I'm afraid of the meringue. So let's go ahead and do the egg whites first. I lied to you. We're doing egg whites first. So we're going to go ahead and take our egg whites. There's two of them. I'm going to stick them in this bowl, my stand mixer that I've got right next to me. And all my pans and things. So if you guys have made or not making your ladyfingers today, you just get to watch Alicia and I attempt it today, and then you can sit back and, you know, wait for us to get to the actual part of putting together the tiramisu. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and grab my egg whites, and I'm just going to go ahead and put that in the base of my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, hand mixer is fine. We are going to go ahead, if you're using a stand mixer, use your whisk attachment. And like I said, if not, just go ahead and use your regular hand mixer. You can do this by hand, but it's just going to take a really long time. So embrace the technology if you've got it. So I have got my egg whites, and I'm going to go ahead and start it on low in the bowl. We are going to wait until the egg whites look foamy before we add the cream of tartar. So let it go for a second. Once it starts to foam up, I'm going to take a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar. You can use half a teaspoon of vinegar, any kind. And I'm going to add that to the bowl, all right, of the egg whites. So mine is starting to look foamy. I'm going to go ahead and add my cream of tartar. I'm just using 1/4 teaspoon. And I just dropped that right into my egg whites. Okay. Once we start seeing the egg whites form kind of like a little bit of a soft peak, we're going to start adding our sugar. About a tablespoon at a time. And that's 1/3 cup granulated sugar, which I have got. So my egg whites are a little foamy right now, and what we're waiting for is we're waiting for it to get a little bit more of a peak and for it to kind of start getting white. I'm going to increase the speed of my mixer, and I'm going to grab my tablespoon, which conveniently is far away from me.
It's surprisingly, or maybe not so much, incredibly loud. And hard to hear with my stand mixer on.
I just realized that I can't, oh, there we go. My volume is like down this low, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. Between the mixer and like not hearing, I was like, I have no idea what you're saying, but now I do. We're okay. Okay. I'm going to stop my mixer just to show you what it looks like really quick before I start adding the sugar. So we're starting to see it be really foamy and white. This is the part where we can start adding sugar, or you can wait a little bit longer until it starts getting a little bit more stiff. But I like adding it just a little bit wee bit early. So you're going to start adding in a tablespoon of a time. And again, it's 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Add a tablespoon, wait a minute, wait a second, and then add another tablespoon. And what we're doing is we're building meringue. So it's going to start looking glossy as the sugar incorporates into the egg whites. And again, we're going a tablespoon at a time. And what we're looking for is soft peaks. You want it to get to the point where it's going to stick to the whisk that you're using to beat it, and that if you literally like turn the bowl upside down, it will not fall out. I'm almost to the last of my sugar.
We're getting still there? Okay.
It is beating.
You froze for a sec.
I'm gonna stop it. My if you can see, you can't take some. Let's see if I can bring you guys closer. It's gonna be like close vision. Close vision. Hello, you're very close to me now. Okay, so as we can see, my egg whites are still really runny. You can see it move through the bowl. That is not good. Alicia's is looking pretty stiff already, which is good. I'm gonna keep mine going. And again, it's really easy to kind of break the meringue. I'm going to break this, going to get watery, and it's going to be like the antithesis of what we need it to be, which is going to be kind of like this creamy, sticky fluff is what we're going to get. For those of you who don't know, meringue is usually the basis of marshmallow, so now you understand the thickness of it. I'm going to increase it. I'm starting to see the peaks form. All right, I'm going to lift the bowl again, and mine is still drooping. Oh, God, I lost light. Still drooping.
I'm so close.
It's really close. So mine has a little bit of droop, but it's kind of sticking, but it's not stiff enough. So I'm going to whip it just a little bit longer. And what, again, we're trying to hope to achieve right now is soft, marshmallowy-like peaks. Ooh, it's really close. I'm going to give it a look. Ooh, yes. That's what you want. Alicia's on point. I'm going to stop mine. And like Alicia showed you, your meringue should stick to the beater. And it shouldn't drop. It should basically be up top like that. I keep on losing my light. I have a feeling it's my, aha! We're gonna be shrouded in darkness half the time. So like I said to you guys, if you have beaten your meringue, if you've beaten it enough, it should be this creamy and it should be white. And if you turn the bowl upside down, nothing should come out. To the point where you could literally put it on top of your head and be confident that it wouldn't fall onto you. But don't go past that point. We want it to be soft and creamy. We don't want to go ahead and do anything past that because you'll break your meringue. So our egg whites are done. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump out my beater into the bowl. And we're going to go ahead and set those aside because we've built all these techniques for using, Alicia. We've made a meringue, and we're now about to make a sabayon, or I should use the Italian zabaglione, just with a Z instead of an S. There you go. We're going to go build that. Now, the traditional tiramisu uses raw egg yolks and raw egg whites. And if you're in Europe and you have lovely eggs that don't need to be refrigerated, more power to you. But here in America, we have to refrigerate our eggs. And so unless you have the freshest, most organic eggs and you don't believe in salmonella, then I suggest we create a sabayon. Or if you are vegan and you don't want to do a sabayon, you could totally just make this with whipped cream and just forget the eggs completely. But the eggs are going to go ahead and give it that traditional taste. So double boiler time. Here we go, sabayon. So I'm going to go ahead and take some water, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of my saucepan. And I just boiled some water with my kettle, so it's already a little bit warm. Trying to think ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my stove on. And now what we're wanting to do is, if you're using two saucepans or like on top of each other like this, you want the steam is going to cook the egg yolks, right? You don't actually want the flame or the heat of the pan to cook the egg yolks because your egg yolks will scramble. So this is going to be our test. We're going to have to whisk this like nobody's business while it's sitting into the bowl because we don't want it to cook. And if it just sits there and it doesn't move, it's definitely going to cook. So I'm going to try to give you a better angle of my bowl. I'm going to grab my handy dandy whisk. And I've got 2 egg yolks. You've got 2 egg yolks. I've got 2 egg yolks. We're going to go ahead and grab that straight out right now. And if you're using it, we can actually also add in the vanilla or the almond extract at this point too. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my vanilla. I'm gonna put that in first actually, because I'm going to not want to put my eggs in first because I'm scared. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and put half a teaspoon of vanilla, or you can use, an eighth, a quarter of a teaspoon of almond extract. It's basically up to you how you feel about the taste of that. And I'm gonna take my 2 egg yolks, and I'm going to put it directly into the bowl, and I'm just going to start to whisk it. Now, we're going to continuously whisk onto the stovetop until it is a light yellow, and it's going to start looking fluffy. And again, we're trying not to scramble our eggs. So my feet actually should go down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the water on top, I see steam at the bottom. This is going to be about a 5-minute process. Again, we're kind of creating a custard at the moment. So just keep mixing. I'm putting down my feet to about a low. And again, we're waiting for the steam of the water to go ahead and cook the bottom of our bowl, or to go ahead and be the heat for the bottom of our bowl. So it's going to be a light heat. Oh wait, Alicia, I'm taking my bowl off. You know what I just thought of, Alicia? Am I jumping ahead?
I was wondering that, but then I remember you talking about making this before, or making this with the heated eggs.
I jumped ahead.
All right. Well, we have the other 2 eggs, so we are good.
We have the other 2 eggs, so we're okay.
All right.
Take the water, take it off the water bath. I started creating the mascarpone cream, which, to be fair, is fine, but we're trying to do Ladyfingers first. Oh my God, this is my brain right now.
All right.
2 egg yolks. plain egg yolks into a bowl. All right, good thing we're sorted and we have our mise en place on ready. All right, guys. Apologies if you're making Ladyfingers with us. You shouldn't have been cooking your egg yolks. Take your egg yolks off of the double boiler, put it to the side. It's okay if they're warm. They're gonna go ahead and they're not gonna cook on you. It's fine, just take it off the heat, okay? We're gonna use that later on when we make mascarpone cream. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just take 2 egg yolks. I'm gonna show you my bowl, or try to show you my bowl. 2 egg yolks. We're gonna go ahead and dump that straight in. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix in the vanilla, which I said you can go half a teaspoon. If you wanna be extra, you can do, ooh. Now we're gonna take our egg whites that we have meticulously made into a meringue. And we're gonna go ahead and fold that directly into the bowl. I'm gonna just take a spatula. Spatula. Really, guys, this is really what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a spatula, and I'm gonna take my egg whites, as you can see, and I'm gonna go ahead and add that in to my yolks, and we're gonna fold in the eggs together. And we're just gonna take every single bit of the meringue. All right, now Alicia and I are on the right path. Oh, jeez. Okay.
But of everything, fine.
This is what happens when we be extra and we try to do both things at once. All right. So I'm folding in my egg yolks, and I'm just doing an underhanded fold. So I'm going underneath the batter, and I'm folding on top. And we just want to try our best to not break the air that we've created from the meringue, but at the same time, try to mix in the batter, the yolks, right? So fold it. I like turning my bowl while I fold only because I feel like it gives it a little bit more leverage. And then once we feel like it's pretty combined, mine is looking kind of like a pale yellowy, almost like cake batter, kind of looks like cake batter. I'm gonna go ahead and sift in my flour, and I've got 2/3 of a cup of flour that I'm gonna sift in. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this directly over my bowl. 2/3 of a cup of flour that I'm gonna go ahead and add in.
Are you adding it all at once, or are you doing it in stages?
I am sifting all at once. Although, if you want to, actually, no, you can do it all at once. I was thinking to myself, maybe we should do it in stages, but you know what? We can incorporate it slowly. It can do it. Okay. So I've sifted all my flour. And I'm going to go ahead and go back into my bowl, and we're going to fold this, and we're going to once again attempt to not break the air. And I'm going to go underneath. And what we're trying to achieve is trying to get everything into the batter incorporated without breaking the aeration. And until you mix, until you don't see any more flour, and then stop yourself from over mixing. And I think I'm good. Woo, no, I just saw, woo, look at that flour pocket that I just found at the bottom. Woo, look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
There's so much.
There's so much flour. This is what I'm talking about when I say try to grab it from the bottom. But sometimes I like cutting it in half a little bit and then going underneath. I was thinking to myself it was looking a little fluffy. All right. Now it's looking a little bit more dough-like. Yep. For sure. Okay. I still have some flour on the bottom that I'm going to incorporate by bringing it up. And again, just mix it until you don't see any flour. But you're going to have, my aeration is still there, which is good. I see some pockets in the middle. Okay, I think I'm good. Woo. And if not, you can give a little bit of a mix if you don't believe yourself. Now, if you don't have a piping bag, that's okay. You can go ahead and tape a Ziploc bag and just cut the corner off the Ziploc bag, and it will serve the same purpose that we're going to do. But if you have a piping bag, You need a fairly large tip, about 3/4 of an inch, maybe even larger, but it's fairly large. And I just go ahead and put that at the bottom of my piping bag. I've got a really tall glass here that I'm going to put my piping bag in, and I'm just going to fold it in. This is the easiest way to put anything in your piping bag. Put it in a high surface, and then we're going to take our batter and we're going to dump it into the bag as best as we can.
So I went a little above and beyond here. I made templates for the Ladyfingers.
Oh, you were so smart, Alicia. Then you're going to get them the right size. Everyone else can follow JulieAnn, who did not, and is going to eyeball it, and is going to make hers very rustic.
Yes, no, that's true. Very, very good point.
Very rustic. But I mean, that's great though. Like, to do something like that, that means, and I know that that's because you've been practicing making macarons.
Yes.
When you're being very exact like that, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead and should easily, if I fold this over, get into my piping bag, and we want to go ahead and push it down. What's good about the glass too is it'll catch any of the flour and the dough and things like that. Woo! Like that. That just popped out. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a baking sheet. And Alicia went ahead and did a fabulous thing, and she went ahead and pre-put the markers for that. I did not, so we're going to go ahead and eyeball it. I just took a parchment sheet, and this is on a regular baking sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pipe out about 3 inches long and about 2 inches in between is what we're going to go for. I'm going to move aside. Brooklyn kitchens and no space. So you're going to go ahead and see. Let's see. My piping technique. We're going to go for 3 inches. I'm going to say this is 1. I'm going to go like the length, literally the length of my finger. About. Oh my God, that was very phallic shaped. I'm going to smooth that out. About 2 inches in between. About 3 inches. Eyeball it. It's almost going to be like the size of like a Milano cookie. I like to say, like a Milano cookie. So I'm going to probably do 3 in a row. Is how I feel about it. And again, about 2 inches in between. That first one was terrible looking. That's okay. And we've got enough batter to make about, give or take, 24, which you might not need all of them for the tiramisu today, and that's okay because you can go ahead and save these cookies for another day. That's a little bit extra.
All right.
How many of you got on the sheet?
How many do I have?
Yeah.
12. I'm having you 2 trays.
I'm going to do another tray.
I'm actually.
And then what we're going to do
Said it would make.
We're going to stick this about 24.
Yeah, I'm gonna have.
About, but
Die.
I'm good. This one tray is not going to have a lot on it because I feel like I made some of them too long, but I'm eyeballing it.
All right.
Ooh, that one's not going to be a nice one.
I just have a little dot for this last one.
I feel like I'm not giving it enough back. All right, I'm putting it in. We're going to set the timer about 6 to 10 minutes. We're looking for them to be a golden color. And then while that is happening, we're going to make the mascarpone, which we've already gotten a head start on because I made you build the sauvignon early. Right. About 6 minutes. I'm going to try to clear my workstation. And we're going to go into our next phase. And
I might.
All right. Your timer's on. My timer's on. Hopefully, one of us will remember.
Yep.
Okay.
My yolks seem to have congealed a little bit, so.
All right. We're going to go again, guys. And the beauty of this is I explained a lot about the egg white situation and the Sauvignon, so I'm not going to have to go into it again. We made our Ladyfingers. For those of us who have not made Ladyfingers and who bought Ladyfingers, this is the part where you can start paying attention to Alicia and I. Because before, not so much so. So I'm just quickly cleaning out my stand mixing bowl. Not like washing it per se, I'm just cleaning it with water and a paper towel because when you build meringue, it needs to be really clean and it needs to be dry. Those are the two things you need. So even though we use it to make meringue, if there's something in the bowl, it's going to obstruct the way that your whites build. So I'm starting again from scratch into a clean bowl, okay? I feel like before we should do the meringue first because the meringue we're going to have to fold in. And again, this is the part where if you're making tiramisu and you don't want to use eggs, it's okay. You can go ahead and just use whipped cream and it should be fine. Alicia and I have cheated slightly because we made our whipped cream earlier. And if you have not made your whipped cream, you just whip 1 cup of heavy cream, about a teaspoon of vanilla. And then if you want to stabilize it a little bit, you can by adding powdered sugar. It's not necessary in this case scenario, but you can. You can add probably maybe about 2 teaspoons, a tablespoon of sugar. Powdered sugar will help go ahead and firm it up a little bit. But you want soft peaks. You don't want to overmix your whipping cream. So everybody else, though, we're going to go ahead and start our meringue again. And now we should be like meringue pros because our meringues have been like insanely, we've been doing it for like 2 weeks now. We did a meringue last week, 3 weeks. We did 3 weeks of meringues. And now we're doing another one to go ahead and start our mascarpone cream. So we are going to go ahead and build the mascarpone cream. Why don't we go ahead and get our ingredients for our whole situation for our Ladyfingers. So what you're going to have is you are going to have cocoa powder, vanilla, espresso or really strong coffee, liqueur if you want to go ahead and be slightly fancy about it. You don't have to if you're trying to be teetotal, more power to you. But if you want anything like rum, Kahlua, amaretto, frangelico, Marsala wine is a traditional one, you can go ahead and add into the mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that first so we can kind of get it out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and just grab 1 cup. I'm going to put it in this. I'll take 1 cup of that strong espresso or coffee, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in a bowl. And then I'm going to grab my cocoa powder, and I'm going to dump my cocoa powder in that same espresso. And I'm just using a liquid measuring cup. And then I'm going to grab, I'm using amaretto today. Amaretto. Using some amaretto today. And dump that straight in. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Ooh. And I'm using a ½ teaspoon for some reason, so I'm going to actually have to do 4 dabs. 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and we're just going to go ahead and mix that all up together. I'm going to quickly rinse my whisk that has a whole bunch of egg yolks on it. And our espresso mix should be sorted. All right, and then you're just going to set that aside because we're going to use that when we dip in the Ladyfingers that hopefully will come out sorted. Okay, while that's happening, let's go ahead and prepare the egg whites. I'm going to double check my Sauvignon and make sure it didn't cook, and it didn't. It's still okay. Did you have to redo yours?
Yeah.
Mine looked like, I'm trying to see if it's scrambled just a little bit. I might actually do it. I actually might do it as well. There's a little bit. All right, you're right. I think I might redo it.
Yeah, it was a little gross.
I'm kind of, yeah, I'm not feeling that. So if you had to do that as well, I apologize to you. So if you're doing a Sauvignon, we're going to need 2 egg yolks. So I, unfortunately have to pull a whole bunch more eggs out of my fridge, which I'm going to do right now. I'm staring at the sabayon. I mean, it's not so bad. Here, let's look at it. It's kind of a little chunky, so I'm going to go ahead and take out my egg yolks. The good news is we don't need it to be room temp necessarily because we don't have to whip up these egg whites. I separated out my egg whites from the other set of yolks. But the bad news is I'm now going to have an extra set of egg whites, which means I'm going to have to bake something with them or make an omelet tomorrow, which is not a bad problem to have.
Oh, what a shame.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start with the meringue because I feel like the meringue we'll need to add in quickly. I'm going to go ahead and take my, I'll get you guys closer. I'm going to go ahead and grab my stand mixer again. It is clean, it is dry. I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 egg whites that thankfully I have. 2 egg whites back in the bowl. Okay. And we're going to have about a 1/4 cup of sugar that's divided. So you're going to put 1/8 of a cup of sugar into this mix. And again, we're going to go ahead and add it a little bit of a time while you mix it because we're building the same thing we did before for the Ladyfingers is we're building the meringue. So I'm going to wait until it is frothy before I add my cream of tartar. But again, you can use about a 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar or about 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar. Plain vinegar is fine. I'm going to start low with my egg whites. I'm going to wait till it's frothy. And then I'm going to take my cream of tartar, my cheating meringue method. We're going to wait till it's frothy. And I'm going to add my cream of tartar now. I'm going to increase the speed, and then once I start seeing it go into see a little bit of some soft white peaks, when it starts starting to look white, I'm going to start adding in my sugar. And again, we're going a tablespoon at a time, about 1/8 of a cup of sugar. Granulated sugar, cane sugar is fine. So my mix is starting to froth up. I'm going to start adding my sugar. And again, eyeball it about a tablespoon at a time. And then we are going to whip those up to soft peaks like before with a meringue, hopefully.
All right, we're going for stiff peaks again.
What was that, Alicia?
Are we going for stiff peaks again?
Yeah, exactly. And while that is happening, I'm going to get my new egg yolks together. Because bad JulieAnn made us build a sabayon. And what's good is my eggs are cold, so they're going to separate out pretty good. And let's build out. Watching my stand mixer. My timer went off for my cookies. How about yours?
Yeah, almost there. My bottom ones were actually getting a little too close to heat, so I took them out.
I'm going to pull mine out. Mine look pretty good already. They're about this kind of light golden. So I'm going to take those out. The ones that I think I put at the bottom, like Alicia's, turn out a little bit more golden. But I'm going to go ahead and take these out. We're going to go ahead and put them out so that they dry while we make the rest of our cream and just cool down. So So while that is all happening, checking my meringue. My meringue is still light. I don't know why my phone keeps on pausing. Checking my meringue. It's pretty good. How's your meringue?
Mine's good.
Mine's good. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. And now we're going to double boil and build our Sauvignon. So I'm going to go ahead and really quickly rinse out my bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing where I'm going to heat up the water on my pan. And again, you want the heat to be consistent. We don't want it to be super boiling because then you'll just go ahead and cook the eggs like we just did because we created the Sauvignon way too early. It's probably going to go in like pale and yellow, and you want to mix it and keep mixing it for about 5 minutes or so. And again, you're putting in the vanilla extract if you're using it, about...
It's like a half a teaspoon, I think.
About half a teaspoon, yeah. And then you're going to go ahead and put in your egg yolks and then just start whisking it over the double boil. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just stuffing my new egg yolks because I did not trust my old Sauvignon. It's a little bit chunky with a little bit yolk. And I'm just going to keep mixing it. And again, this is going to take the process about 5 minutes or so. Actually, I'm going to turn off my oven because we don't need it anymore. And what I'm going to do, and I'll get you guys a closer look, is I am just mixing my bowl and then my yolks continuously. And again, the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to cook our eggs, and we're also going to give it a little bit of warmth for the mascarpone to melt into it. And the reason why we're doing that is because most of the eggs here in the United States have to be refrigerated. They're not. Tiramisu is made with just egg yolks and egg whites. So we are going to cook ours. And again, as the Italians say, Zabaglione or Zabaglione. Zabaglione. Now I'm giving it a French because I'm thinking about Sauvignon. And we're just going to keep mixing and mixing. And we're going to grab Alicia, who I've lost. I think I'm going to get you back, Alicia. Yay! Oh, wow, yours is looking really good.
Yeah.
That looks great. Alicia's is looking really, really nice. What we're doing is we're building aeration into it, so she's getting a lot of great air in hers. And we just want to keep mixing it. And again, the reason why you don't want to stop mixing it is because as soon as you stop mixing it, you're going to cook your eggs. And we don't really want to cook it. We want to cook it enough, but we don't want to actually scramble our eggs. Kind of the same way when you make like carbonara sauce or anything like that. So thank you, Sherry. Yes, Sauvignon is the French version of Zabaglione, which I feel like I'm still pronouncing very French.
Right.
I feel like I'm getting a really good arm workout, though. That's the plus.
And then, like, the rum that I'm smelling right now that I have in my espresso sauce is smelling nice.
If you wanted to, I mean, if you wanted to be more alcohol-y, you could add more alcohol into this cream that we're building. So you can add alcohol to mascarpone, or you can go ahead and not. Completely up to you. This is good though because it's giving my cookies time to dry. I'm very tempted to try one, to be honest.
I had some dead soldiers over here. I overcooked a few of them. They were a little too close to the flame.
You can tell the last one I did in the series because they're just like flat and the shape is all funny. So this is going to be the longest part of the build of our tiramisu, guys. So the fact that you're watching us just whip up our Sauvignon is more power to you because it's going to take us at least 5 minutes. And all you're going to see is Alicia and I whisking for 5 minutes, which is very exciting.
Friends.
You guys are being very fantastic while watching us like whisk for 5 minutes. And thank you, Sherry, for providing some fun facts while this is all happening so you're not completely bored. So mine is looking pretty, yours is looking great. Like yours is really good.
Nope.
So mine, I'm gonna take off the heat. I feel like mine is pretty good already. While it's really warm, you can add in the mascarpone. So mine has gotten like paley yellow. And to this, I'm going to go ahead and add the mascarpone cream. And my mascarpone is room temp because if it was cold, it would just shock your eggs that you just warmed up. So just be aware. And I'm using random brand of mascarpone that I cannot open. There's a plastic covering that I cannot open. I'm so worried that if I stop stirring that this thing is going to cook, even though I took it off the heat. I'm like, no.
Really like big arm over here. The other one's not going to be like that.
Right. I had this plastic wrap on my mascarpone, which is huge. So I'm going to just dump the cream. And I'm going to mix it into my... I'm using my whisk to take out the cream from the container. All right. I'm glad that we're back on track with our Sauvignon. And I have mixed into the warm egg yolks. I am mixing in the mascarpone. I've taken it off the heat. If you think your mascarpone isn't smooth looking, you can put it back on the heat a little bit if you'd like to get out the lumps because it'll melt out the mascarpone just a little if you think it's a little too lumpy. But if not, you can completely take it off the heat. It's fine. And it should look pretty smooth. Mine's pretty smooth looking. Okay. So we have built our Sauvignon. We have added our mascarpone cream. We are going to fold in the egg whites into our mix. And then I'm going to do the whipped cream last, I think. I don't want to shock it. So I'm going to take my egg whites and we're going to fold it in. And again, we built a lot of aeration in the egg whites, so be very pleased. I'm going to grab a spatula. I'm just going to take my egg whites and I'll show you my bowl. Strange angle of my bowl. Sideways as it is. And I'm just going to go ahead and the residual heat, if you're afraid that like, oh no, I'm putting in these raw egg whites, the residual heat of the egg yolk should cook it a little bit, so you should feel okay about that. We're not being completely European about it. And I feel like purists are just like, you should have left it alone. Why did you mess up your life? About this Sauvignon. But we have just made a Sauvignon and we are folding in. I'm being like slightly haphazard about it. I'm like folding in. It should be like this kind of creamy, pale yellow. And I'm mixing in my egg whites just until it's incorporated. And again, I'm just using the folding underneath technique. And I am going to go ahead and grab my whipped cream that I whipped earlier. And again, that is a cup of whipping cream, some vanilla extract if you wanted to add in some more. You could have added in more alcohol, to be fair, into your whipping cream. But I'm going to grab the whipped cream that I made earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and fold that into this mixture. And we have built, once we get that folded in, we have built our mascarpone cream. Look at this cream. This is going to be so delicious. Oh my God. I'm very excited. The bad thing, though, Alicia, about building tiramisu is we're going to have to wait a couple hours.
I have not told Kaylin that yet, so hoping he doesn't run down here immediately after.
You know, I realized that I didn't put most of my sugar back into my egg yolks when I built the second Sauvignon.
Oh.
But I just tasted it and it's perfectly sweet.
Well, there you go. See?
So I don't even think we needed that much sugar, guys. But if you wanted to, when we were building that Sauvignon, remember it was the egg yolks, the vanilla, and the sugar. But I accidentally forgot to put in all my sugar in the eggs. But I'm tasting my cream and it's delicious. Okay. I don't miss that sugar. I'm probably gonna put some like other stuff into this thing, so it's gonna be crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my Ladyfingers, and we're gonna start composing the build of this thing.
All right.
You can take any container that you want. It can be a rectangular one, it can be a circular one, it can be glass, it can be, you know, Corningware, whatever you've got. And actually, I'm gonna put some powdered sugar on top of my Ladyfingers. So it doesn't stick. Did you put powdered sugar over your Ladyfingers before baking?
I remembered like a few
I know. I did not really remember, but I just put some over on top now. That's fine. This is what happens when you're live baking, guys. You forget all the things you're supposed to be doing. I'm just going to go ahead and get a square pan. I've just got this square rectangular pan that I'm using, and we're going to go ahead and build this out. We're going to start with the Ladyfingers on the bottom. Now, you have to go ahead and take your espresso mixture, and we're going to go ahead and douse the Ladyfingers in the espresso before we put it in the pan. I'm going to do this like two-prong method. I'm going to take kind of a flat-ish bowl. I've got this like flattish bowl. I'm going to stick my liquid in there so that way it kind of gives it a flat surface so I can dip my Ladyfingers in fairly quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Are you like turning it around and like getting it all?
I know the bad part is now we have to get all the components together and hope that we get this right. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, like I said, I'm just using an 8x8 pan. You can use like a round pan, you can use a square pan. Here's like some random other pans you could be using. You can use a glass one, a pie pan, whatever you've got, just as long as it's thick enough to hold 2 layers. I'm going to go ahead and grab some Ladyfingers. These are the ones we made. Random Ladyfinger, there you go. I just put some powdered sugar on top because I remembered right now. I'm going to quickly dip this into my bowl like Alicia's doing, really quick. You don't want it to soak completely, just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and build a stack. And just a quick dip. We're going to take each of the Ladyfingers. And we're going to do quick dips. Like they're taking a little bit of a dip in the pool. You do want it to kind of still be, you don't want it to be super soft. And the reason why you don't want it to be super soft is because as it sets in the fridge, it is going to soak up the cream. It's going to soak up everything else. And you are going to be left with what started as like this dryish biscuit is going to be cake-like. So it almost feels like a sponge cake.
Okay. Feeling good about this.
What's great about this is because we made our own Ladyfingers. The ones that didn't turn out so beautiful, no one's going to see them because they're going to be hidden underneath the cream. And if you need to make it fit on the layer, all you have to do is like, you know, cut them to fit. And if you have store-bought ones, you're doing the same thing we're doing with the Ladyfingers, but you're just cutting them to fit. I'm trying to see if I should put some on the side. Maybe I should put some on the side. I'll go ahead and do some on the side just to get. And then you're just going to build a layer, right? So take your cream and you're just going to place that on top of your Ladyfinger. So I've kind of like built this.
All right.
Dump some Ladyfingers on top and then take the cream. And our goal is to build about 2 layers or more, depending on how many Ladyfingers you've got and how much cream you've got. And if you want to be extra about this, you can take a chocolate bar and you can grate chocolate on top of the mix.
Oh, I'm going to be extra about this.
I am definitely going to do that, especially because I lost some of that sugar earlier. which good news, guys. It's okay. It still tastes great. But I also just dumped a whole bunch of powdered sugar on top of my Ladyfingers, so it makes up for it. Okay.
Are you putting any cocoa powder down in between the layers too?
I am not.
Okay.
Because I feel like the cocoa powder will just make it a little bit bitter. So I am going to not. All right, I'm smoothing that out. And you don't have to be shy about the cream. Just leave enough so that way you'll have some for the top. Now I'm going to do this. And then again, you can just take your cream and you just smooth it out. And what's great about this is because it still has to set, so don't be afraid if it's not perfect, because it will be when it sets, and then when you cut into it, nobody's going to see the imperfections. Okay, so that's my towel. I'm going to go ahead and grab some chocolate because I am definitely grating some chocolate over the top of this thing. Oh my god, I keep on eating that cream, which is, this is bad. Like, I don't know if this is actually going to make it on my table because I keep eating it. My god. All right.
Wondering what's going to happen with the rest of the espresso like liquid, because there's a lot good.
I know. So I'm just going to get my microplane and I'm going to grate. I have this really nice Racca chocolate bar, which is a Brooklyn company. I'm going to be attempt to be nice about it and start with just half of a bar. but doubtful that I'm going to use half a bar. I feel like I'm going to use a lot of it. So I'll show you what's going on here. JulieAnn's attempting to be sort of minuscule about it, but what's great is the second layer.
Yeah, that's a layer of chocolate in between. That's not even.
I know. You could, if you don't even want to do this, if you wanted to be a little bit more texture, you could use chocolate chips. I was just thinking about that. But this should blend in a little bit better because it's going to be so smooth. I'm basically getting to the point where there's going to be like no white left because I just covered it with chocolate.
I did the same thing. No shame.
None. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel bad about that. It's going to be so delicious that I'm okay. And I'm using a dark chocolate, but again, you can use anything you want, any random bar of chocolate you've got hanging out, bittersweet, milk. Okay. I was like, should I stop grating chocolate? But I feel like I should grate some more.
Answer is always yes to not, should never stop.
During this time period, I hope you've been watching Alicia, who's been actually following directions. Versus me, who's not. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do my second layer now. I'm going to go grab my Ladyfingers, and I'm going to grab the second layer. And you should have enough for a second layer, which, surprisingly, I should have enough of. So I'm going to grab the rest of the cookies.
All right, JulieAnn.
Is it delicious? Have you been eating it as you go?
Are you putting chocolate shavings on the top layer with cocoa powder or only cocoa powder?
Oh, I'm totally putting chocolate shavings.
All of the above.
Yeah, totally both. And again, you can space out. I'm spacing everything out.
Oh, I'm so happy I changed containers. This is like glorious now.
I was thinking that it'd be great if you put it like in a bowl, yeah, and it'd make like a trifle. And it'd be so delicious looking. I have it in a traditional kind of square container. I'm not mad about it.
All right.
That's a really long ladyfinger I created.
Shavings first or cocoa powder first?
Ooh, both. Do
Both.
both.
I think I'm gonna do shavings first. All right. No, I'm not. All right. Let's do it. Let's just do the dusting.
I started doing 2 ladyfingers at once in my bowl. I became that ambitious. Okay.
Oh
my god, it smells so good.
Glorious.
Okay. Now I am adding the rest of the cream. Don't be shy, guys. Add all your cream. That's what you made the mascarpone for, so I'm adding more cream.
You did all that work. You might as well use it all.
I know. All that work. We had to make 2 sabagnons because JulieAnn messed up. So you do all the work. All right. My kitchen is a mess, and I am so glad you are doing this with me, Alicia, because I was telling Alicia, like last week, I woke up like from like sleep, and the first thought in my head was, I really want tiramisu. And I was trying to find a reason to make some, and Alicia gave me a great reason to make some, so yay.
And I have surprisingly never made tiramisu, but it's always been on my must-bake list, so this was perfect. Oh my gosh.
I know. I have never made a regular tiramisu. I made like a pumpkin one before for like Thanksgiving, but I feel like that doesn't count because we don't really... You just dunk that in straight up alcohol. There is no espresso. All right, so you smooth out the top as much as you can, and I'm adding a whole bunch of chocolate like a maniac on top, and then we're gonna dust this whole thing in cocoa powder, and you are going to stick it in your fridge. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and wrap it, and don't look at it because it'll just make you sad that you can't eat it for about 3 or 4 hours. Or if you want to be really good, you can stick it overnight into your fridge. Guys, I just realized that when Instagram cut us off, I completely forgot to re-record the end of the live feed, so you might not know what happened at the end when Alicia and I completely got cut off. So what happened was we completed building the tiramisu, and I went ahead and built the layers, and I went ahead and dusted the top. You can just do that with a sieve of cocoa powder and go ahead and stick it on top of the layers that you've got. So it's Ladyfingers, mascarpone, grated chocolate if you're extra, mascarpone cream, and then more chocolate if you're being super extra, and then cocoa powder, and then you can add, actually, if you'd like, some more chocolate on the top. And then you're just gonna go ahead and wrap that tightly in plastic wrap, or if you've got a cover for whatever container you're using, because again, you didn't have to use a rectangular baking pan. You could have used a glass pan, you could have used a pie pan, and you're just going to take that and you're going to stick it in your refrigerator for about 3 to 4 hours or even overnight. And at that point, everything is set, and that's when you can cut into it, you can serve it, and you can go ahead and try your tiramisu. Thank you for bearing with me today with all the crazy mishaps that Alicia and I had, where you made 2 meringues, 2 sauvignons, and all this other stuff. Oh my gosh, Alicia, I was just saying to everybody that the last live, when Instagram cut us off, I forgot to record it onto the end of the Instagram, so nobody knows how our tiramisu turned out. I'm just having a day today. So, but Alicia finished her tiramisu and stuck it in the fridge, and I'm about to stick mine again back in the fridge because, again, as I showed you, cocoa powder at the top before you go ahead and put it away into the refrigerator. So thank you for joining me this Saturday. Thank you again to Alicia for letting me make tiramisu with her. and our first try. And again, if you made it or you're baking it, go ahead and tag us, either Ladyfingers or Tiramisu or both, and let us know how it turned out today. And again, don't forget to add sugar into your egg yolks when you milled your sabayon, and to dust your Ladyfingers with powdered sugar before you put it in. But either way, it's going to be delicious. So thank you for joining us on Saturday. And yeah, my brain today, don't know. I think the quarantine is starting to get to me. Stay safe, everyone. All right, bye.